Hey everyone, this is Michael again, and welcome to the Elimination Chamber review. And tonight's Elimination Chamber was from the Wells Fargo Center in Philadelphia. And this was the final pay-per-view before we get into WrestleMania, which is in 4 weeks. And going into this show tonight, we all knew that we were in for a predictable show because the whole card, going down the line of the whole card, you knew that the outcome would be predictable. WWE build for this show was zero build for this show. Possibly one of the worst builds for this pay-per-view. This is just WWE saying, you know what, let's give the fans a throwaway setup show just so we could get to WrestleMania. That was pretty much it. And to sum up the show tonight, I have to sum it up with this. Yeah, that's how I like to sum up this show tonight, because this show was absolute shit. This show was fucking garbage. Absolutely fucking terrible. And predictable too. And this is what happens when WWE tries to book a pay-per-view in 2 weeks. Yeah, the Saudi Arabia show, Super Showdown, messed up this build for the pay-per-view. And this is what WWE gets. It blows up in their face because they think that they could have everything done and get a pay-per-view booked in 2 weeks. And it blew up right in their face. And this crowd tonight in Philly, they were like zombies. They were dead for most of the show. Yeah, they made some noise during the Daniel Bryan Drew Gulak match, which I'll get to speaking about, and a little bit in the Aleister Black versus AJ Styles no disqualification match. But other than that, like I said, they were dead for most of the night. And this is Philly. The Philly crowd, makes a lot of noise. They're just like the Brooklyn crowd. The Brooklyn crowd, the Florida crowd, Boston crowd. They make noise. Tonight, I don't know why they didn't make a lot of noise throughout the whole show. I could, sense that they all knew that this show was going to be garbage. They knew that this show was going to be predictable. But anyways, let's get into this review of this garbage show, this garbage predictable show. So, we start off with a match that was on the Kickoff Show. The Viking Raiders versus Zack Ryder and Curt Hawkins. Do I need to say who wins this match? If you said the Viking Raiders, you are absolutely right. Viking Raiders end up winning the match. They end up hitting the Viking experience to Curt Hawkins. Now it's basically that. So the Viking Raiders end up winning. And then we get into the card, the regular matches on the other show. And the pay-per-view kicked off with Daniel Bryan versus Drew Gulak. And this was a good match. This was a very awesome match between both of them. The match in the beginning started off slow. Sorry about that, but I was saying the match started off slow, but then it picked up as it went on. But Daniel Bryan and Drew Gulak, they gave it all they got in this match. You had at one point where Drew Gulak ended up delivering a suplex to Daniel Bryan, and Daniel Bryan's neck bounced off the canvas, which we all know Daniel Bryan and the neck issues that he has. But that was pretty hard to watch, because Daniel Bryan landed his neck on the canvas, bouncing off the canvas. Pretty hard to watch, considering we all know about his neck issues. So at the end of the match, Daniel Bryan ended up locking in the yes lock on Drew Gulak, and the referee ends up calling for the bell because Gulak ended up passing out to the yes lock. So there you go. Daniel Bryan ended up winning the match. But overall, good match. In my opinion, this was one of the best matches of the night, in my opinion. So just Gulak and Daniel Bryan, they delivered in this match. But good match between the both of them. Like I said, started off slow, but then picked up as the match went on. And the crowd was really making some noise in the match as it progressed. They were all enthralled with Daniel Bryan and Drew Gulak. And then we had Kayla Braxton. She was interviewing Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode, and going into the tag team elimination chamber match. And Dolph and Roode were gonna enter the chamber match last because they won their match on SmackDown on Friday. Because whoever won the tag team match on SmackDown on Friday, they got to enter the chamber match last. So Roode ended up saying when him and Dolph win the match, all they have to do is pick up the pieces and walk out as the new SmackDown Tag Team Champions. So we had Kayla Braxton saying to both Dolph and Roode, good luck. And Dolph says, oh, they don't need that. They don't need the good luck. And so Dolph ends up giving a shout out to Mandy Rose. And that was basically that. And we did see, the TV monitor behind Dolph and Robert Roode glitching up, because we've been seeing that for the past couple of weeks on SmackDown. And, it's hinted that the glitches that we see could mean the return of Mustafa Ali. So that's what I've been hearing. But that was that. And then we had Andrade Cien Almas versus Humberto Carrillo for the United States Championship. This was just same old that we've seen. We've seen these guys go at it many times before. And Andrade ended up getting the win. He ended up holding on to Humberto's tights for the win. So then we had Zelina Vega ripping up the padding on the outside for Andrade. Same thing we've seen before. So Andrade ended up sending Humberto out to the floor, looking to hit the DDT, gets back body dropped by Humberto on the pad-in, and he tosses, Humberto ends up tossing Andrade in the ring, does a crossbody, gets a 2 count. So Andrade end up reversing it for a 2 count. And that's when Andrade end up reversing the pin, holding on to Humberto's tights. So you go. Andrade end up winning, still retain the United States Championship. Overall, it was a match that we've seen before. Nothing, special happened. So then we had Charlie Caruso. She was interviewing AJ Styles. She ended up asking Styles how the no DQ match, no disqualification match, will influence, him in the match. And Styles ended up making fun of Aleister Black being a loner who listens to, this weird music and burns a bunch of candles. So Charlie Caruso ended up saying to Styles, "Oh, is Gallows and Anderson going to be in, your corner?" And Styles ends up saying yes. Gallows and Anderson will be, of course, in his corner. And pretty much that was basically that. So then we had the Tag Team Elimination Chamber match for the SmackDown Tag Team Championships. The Miz and John Morrison versus the New Day versus the Usos versus Heavy Machinery versus Lucha House Party versus Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode. And the match itself, it was very underwhelming, in my opinion. It was a very underwhelming Tag Team Elimination Chamber match. And you had Heavy Machinery coming out. They got a cool pop from the crowd. The New Day and the Usos end up starting off the match, and it was back and forth between them. And the New Day and the Usos, they delivered really entertaining, decent matches when both teams are in the ring together. And then the Lucha House Party enters. And then we had The Miz and John Morrison come into the match. We had, then after that, Heavy Machinery then entered the match, which, the crowd really popped for them. And this is where the Elimination Chamber match, got entertaining a little bit because of Heavy Machinery. Everybody loves Otis and Tucker. Heavy Machinery eliminated the Lucha House Party. They hit the compactor on Grand Metalik. So the Lucha House Party then got eliminated. Soon after, when they were eliminated, you had Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode enter the match because they entered the chamber match last. So then we saw a part where Otis, he was going to ram, I think it was Dolph Ziggler, into the pod, but Dolph Ziggler moved out of the way. Otis went through the pod and out of the chamber. I think this was the first time in Elimination Chamber that someone went through the pod and went right out of the chamber. So this is the first time that somebody did that in a chamber match. You had a point where Tucker was on top of the pod and he took out the New Day and the Usos. which was cool. So Rude ended up hitting the Glorious DDT, and then they eliminated Heavy Machinery with Dolph Ziggler pinning Tucker, I think it was. So the crowd ended up booing because the crowd really wanted to see Heavy Machinery win. But I think Heavy Machinery might defeat The Miz and John Morrison. Maybe they'll set up a feud, and probably Heavy Machinery might win the titles at WrestleMania. Give them their WrestleMania moment. So Heavy Machinery got eliminated, and then it was down to Dolph Ziggler, Robert Roode, The New Day, and The Miz and John Morrison. And Ziggler and Roode ended up taunting Heavy Machinery after they got eliminated. Kofi and Big E take out Dolph and Roode, and the Usos end up delivering a splash onto Roode and Dolph, and because of that, Dolph and Roode end up eliminated from the chamber. So then it was down to the Usos, the New Day, and The Miz and John Morrison. So we had The Miz and Morrison jump on Kofi, and because of that, they eliminated the New Day. So you all know then and there that it was down to the Usos and The Miz and John Morrison. Who do you think was going to win? Did you say The Miz and John Morrison? If you did, you're right. So you had John Morrison and Miz. They stack up Jey Uso, and Miz, Jey Uso ended up kicking out, and The Miz ended up having his feet on the ropes, pinning Jey. There you go. The Miz and John Morrison win the match, retain the SmackDown Tag Team Championships. Predictable. Very predictable. So then, like I said, the Tag Team Elimination Chamber match, very underwhelming. But it was only decent once Heavy Machinery got into the match. So then we had Charlie Caruso. She ended up interviewing Natalya. She asked Natalya about how Beth Phoenix was doing after Randy Orton attacking her on Monday Night Raw this past Monday night, which I was at. And Natalya ended up saying to Charlie Caruso that Beth Phoenix is going to pull through just fine. She ended up saying she doesn't think Orton will have the same luck against Edge tomorrow night on Raw, because Edge is going to be on Monday Night Raw tomorrow night, which they should have saved that for a surprise, but WWE likes to give away surprises, so we're not hyped and surprised. They got to post it on their social media all the time. Nothing's ever a surprise anymore in WWE. It's very rare now, because they just go on their social media and say, oh, hey, they're coming on. Well, they're coming on. The NWO is coming on. The NWO was on SmackDown this past Friday. Kevin Nash, X-Pac, and Scott Hall were there, minus Hulk Hogan. They came on to, a moment of bliss, a moment of piss. So, but yeah, looking forward to seeing Edge tomorrow night on Raw. And Natalya ended up saying that she will unleash her legacy in the Women's Elimination Chamber match later on in the night. So that was that. So then we had Styles versus Aleister Black in a no DQ match. This was actually a decent match. You had Aleister Black started off with a kick to Styles' chest. The crowd was chanting for The Undertaker. Carl Anderson was on the apron trying to distract Aleister Black. Styles ended up coming into Black with a chop block. And Styles was in control of the match. He ended up going outside. He retrieved a kendo stick from under the ring. Waxed the kendo stick to Aleister's knee. And Aleister, with the still managed to land a kick to Styles. Takes the kendo stick. And Styles ends up coming in with a drop kick to Aleister, which sent Aleister to the floor. And Aleister Black ended up bringing a table out. He sets it up on the floor. Styles had a chair. He ended up whacking Aleister with it a couple of times. Styles then ended up setting up a chair in the corner. He tried to launch Aleister into the chair. And Aleister then, Styles ended up landing a enziguri. And Styles ended up working over Aleister's knee some more. Boot to the chest. Aleister started fighting back. Ended up landing a knee strike. Styles ended up locking in the calf crusher to Aleister. And Aleister, while he was in the calf crusher, he was able to get the kendo stick. He got the kendo stick. He shoved it against Styles' face. And he shoved it against Styles' face until Styles was able to break the hold. And Aleister came back with kendo stick shots to Styles' legs. So it went back and forth between Styles and Aleister. Styles went up to the top rope. And Aleister ended up following back with a knee. Throws punches at Styles. Delivering a suplex with a bridge. Went for a pin. Got a 2 count. And Styles ended up delivering a neck breaker to Black. You had a point where Black ended up trying to go for a moonsault. Styles ended up catching Aleister. Looks to go for a tombstone. Aleister ended up reversing out of it. Went for the cover on Styles. Styles ended up kicking out at 2. Aleister ended up striking back at Styles. Ended up sending Styles into the chair that was set in the corner. And they both were on the floor. And we then get Gallows and Anderson coming in. And we get a 3-on-1 beatdown on Aleister Black. There was a point where Aleister ended up hitting his face on the table as he went to the floor. Because Styles ended up delivering a run into Aleister. Styles ended up going to hit the phenomenal forearm to Aleister Black because Gallows and Anderson were holding up Aleister. But then we hear the gong for the Undertaker. So the lights go out. When the lights come back on, Undertaker is in the ring. And he's choking out both Gallows and Anderson. Styles tried to go for the phenomenal forearm. Undertaker ends up catching him, delivers a choke slam, and the lights go out in the arena again, and the Undertaker is gone. disappears. So Aleister Black gets back up, delivers a black mass to Styles. There you go. Aleister Black ends up winning the match. But overall, it was a pretty decent match from Styles and Aleister Black. Then we had the Street Profits versus Seth Rollins and Buddy Murphy for the Raw Tag Team Championship. The rematch from Monday Night Raw this past Monday. This match was terrible. This match was boring. You had the Street Profits starting off the match. They work over Buddy Murphy. And towards the end of the match, you had Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens came out from the crowd, and he was eating some popcorn. And Owens ended up tossing some popcorn at Seth Rollins. Dawkins ends up running over Seth Rollins. Buddy Murphy is then sent into the barricade. And we go back in the ring. Dawkins ends up delivering a powerbomb to Buddy Murphy. Montez Ford goes to the top, delivers a frog splash onto Buddy Murphy. There you go. The Street Profits end up winning the match, retaining the Raw Tag Team Championship. Obvious they were retaining. Post-match, you had Rollins yelling at Buddy Murphy saying, "What happened to you?" So Kevin Owens comes in, stuns Seth Rollins, delivers a stunner to Seth Rollins, and he gets his popcorn, leaves the ring, and he dumps more of his popcorn onto Buddy Murphy, who was laid outside. And Kevin Owens ends up walking to the back. So that's pretty much basically what happened. Match was garbage. Match was terrible. So then we had the Intercontinental Championship match, 3-on-1 handicap match. Braun Strowman versus Sami Zayn, Cesaro, and Shinsuke Nakamura. So, match started. Sami Zayn wanted to start off. He tags in Nakamura. Nakamura ended up trying to run down on Strowman. And Strowman ended up dropping Nakamura to the canvas. Nakamura then gets sent into the corner by Strowman. Strowman ends up hitting a splash to Nakamura. And Strowman ends up trying again to punch Sami Zayn. Nakamura ends up hitting a dropkick to Strowman. Nakamura tags in Cesaro. Cesaro chokes Strowman over the bottom rope. Sami Zayn comes in, delivers a cheap shot to Strowman, and tags in. Sami Zayn ends up tagging in, stomping away on Strowman. Tags Nakamura back in. Nakamura ends up landing, knees on Strowman. Sami Zayn comes back in, steps on Strowman's chest, and he tags Cesaro back in. And it was just a beatdown by Sami Zayn, Cesaro, and Nakamura. And we had Strowman come back to his feet. Cesaro is in the ring. Strowman is mad, and he launches Cesaro all over the ring. And Strowman ends up delivering a boot to Cesaro's face. Nakamura tags in. Strowman ends up taking Nakamura ends up taking, a blow to the chest by Strowman. Strowman then, stares at Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn ends up trying for another cheap shot to Strowman's back. Runs out of the ring. Strowman is just chasing Sami Zayn around the ring. Does the shoulder tackles to Cesaro and Nakamura on the outside. So Strowman ends up charging at Cesaro, and he misses. Runs right into the ring post. Nakamura comes in with a Kinshasa, sending Strowman's head into the ring post. And then Cesaro and Nakamura deliver a double suplex to Strowman. Then Sami Zayn ends up delivering the haluva kick to Strowman. Sami Zayn goes for the cover. There you go. Sami Zayn ends up winning the match, wins the Intercontinental Championship. And this is Sami Zayn's first title win on the main roster, with him being on the main roster. First title win, which is the Intercontinental Championship. So that's pretty cool. Pretty cool that Sami Zayn wins his first title with him being on the main roster. So, but all in all, match itself, trash, garbage. But the outcome, Sami Zayn winning his first ever title on the main roster, pretty cool. You got to be happy for Sami Zayn. Oh my God. And then we get to the main event. The Women's Elimination Chamber match. The winner of the match will get a shot at Becky Lynch for the Raw Women's Championship at WrestleMania. Natalya versus Liv Morgan versus Shayna Baszler versus Asuka versus Ruby Riott versus Sarah Logan. What do you know the outcome? We all know the outcome of the match. Do I need to explain who wins this match? So Ruby Riott and Natalya ended up kicking off the match. Ruby Riott tried to go for the early elimination. She didn't have any luck. Natalya was sent into the corner. Ruby Riott ends up taunting Liv Morgan a bit in the pod. And Sarah Logan entered the match. She ended up hitting the double knees on Natalya, sending her into the pod. And Shayna Baszler then entered the match. Shayna ended up taking out Sarah Logan, Ruby Riott, Liv Morgan, Natalya, all of them. So it was just down to Shayna Baszler and Asuka. And Asuka here, she was just annoying here, just shouting in Japanese, waiting for her turn to come out of the pod so she could face Shayna Baszler. So, but I gotta say, Liv Morgan, she ended up taking a big knee from Shayna Baszler, and Shayna ended up hitting Liv Morgan into the chamber and then into the pod, which that was pretty hard to watch. With Shayna driving Liv's head into the pod, hearing that slam. So Shayna Baszler ended up winning the match. She locked in the Kirifuda clutch to Asuka. So there you go. Shayna Baszler wins the match. She gets a shot at Becky Lynch at WrestleMania for the Raw Women's Championship. Predictable. We all knew Shayna was winning. So, well, all this Women's Elimination Chamber sucked. Garbage. Now is the main event. So, but all in all, this show was garbage. This show was trash. Shit. Terrible. And it was just a throwaway show just for WWE to get us to WrestleMania. This whole show was just a setup for WrestleMania. That was it. So anyways, that's it for this Elimination Chamber review. Thank you all for watching. Hope you all enjoyed this review. And definitely give the video a thumbs up, comment, subscribe. And until next video, which will be the Monday Night Raw review, I'll see you all back here tomorrow night with that review.